Continuing my Malmö stories, in this one I want to transport you to a place filled with history, nature and numerous flowers. Malmö's Castle, Gardens and Park is one of the most impressive sceneries in this city. From a vast park exposing windy pathways, going through large green areas, plentiful trees, lakes and canals, to the King's Gardens and Castle, this is the place where one can spend their entire day, and that is exactly what I did on a warm, sunny July day. Kungsparken is one stone cast away from the unreal streets of Malmö, where only a crosswalk separates the king's former walking grounds from the old town. I passed on the other side of the road, entering the park through an invisible gate formed by flowers and trees. A sandy gravel lane welcomed me into the park. It was surrounded by large green areas, providing people with enough space to lay down, enjoy a picnic, or just relax on a blanket. I don't know why, but every time I see sceneries like these, my heart fills with joy. Nature is still desired by us, humans, above all. I continued my walk through Kungsparken, encountering a bizarre cave called Grottan in Swedish, which had a snake head on top spilling water. You never know what to expect when visiting places, and that's the true feeling of traveling. Reading more about Kungsparken, I found out that in contradiction to what I believed, the park was built in 1870 by a Danish architect named Ove Hugh Hansen. He took inspiration from the English park style, and the park was named after King Oscar II of Sweden. Why I was surprised was because I thought the park to have a longer history, maybe as the king's hunting grounds, around the same time when the castle was built, in 1530. However, the park's grounds were built on up until they were demolished in 1660 to offer the castle's towers and fortification a more visual field in the face of prospective dangers. But returning back to the story, Grottan is one of the popular sites in the park. Leaving the cave, I let myself wander on the King's Park Alice, imagining how the king himself walked on the same path. I reached a large lake in the middle of the park, being surrounded by numerous birds relaxing under trees. In the middle stood a fountain overseeing the whole landscape. Everything creates an atmosphere perfect for meditation. Different sculptures and ornaments embellished the otherwise plain alleys. Flowers make even the most simple landscape stand out. I enjoyed the view from the very start. With the lake disappearing behind me, I crossed the bridge, coming closer to the king's former living quarters. Behind the cafe lies the most beautiful garden in Malmö, the castle's gardens. It has a labyrinth-style setting, where narrow paths led me to experience different types of plants and flowers. One thing I found really amazing was that in the middle of the garden were patches of land filled with diverse vegetables planted by Malmö's young students. A place where they could learn how to live sustainable and what it takes to grow your own food. Getting lost in the labyrinth, I discovered different species of flowers, each living in specific habitats. sound of bees happily gathering pollen, together with the numerous flower species and their distinct colors, offered me the feeling I was somewhere far in the countryside and not in the middle of the third largest city in Sweden. Then I found the most incredible relaxation spot in the whole city. Right in the castle's gardens, I found a magical place. Sadly, I had to leave my perfect spot so that I could get closer to the castle. On my way, I stopped to take a closer look at the mill. It is a piece of construction belonging to the history of the 19th century, still standing and in good shape. It reminds us how people used to live and work during that time. On the left side of the mill runs an encompassing moat, and in the middle prevails the exquisite castle of Malmö. You know those tales where a mighty castle is always surrounded by a stream of water? This place reminded me of those books I read when I was a child. Except it didn't have any other mystical creatures lurking in the water to protect the gates of the castle. Perhaps only just fish or other small living beings. And of course a lot of vegetation. After I went round the moat, I finally reached the massive bridge that led the way towards the castle's sturdy gates. The castle was built in the 14th century by the decree of Danish King Christian III on the ruins of an old fort. It is the oldest preserved Renaissance castle in Scandinavia, which even housed between 1567 and 1573 as prisoner Earl James Hepburn, husband of Mary, Queen of Scots. The castle itself had many uses over the years, from a royal castle and later, after the conflicts between Sweden and Denmark ended, to a strategical defense fortification. However, it was later turned into a prison at the beginning of the 19th century, as there was no need for a fortification anymore. Lastly, in the onset of the 20th century, it was used as a shelter for homeless citizens. I have never heard of a castle to have had so many roles. Do you maybe know of another castle like this? I would love to hear in the comments below. Nowadays, the whole castle is turned into different museums, where one part shows the old royal living quarters and the prison, while the other parts embody 3 different museums of art, natural museum and aquarium. And the price to visit them all is only of €4, which is equal to 40 Swedish crowns. And children up until 18 enter for free. One thing that impressed me the most was how small the beds were back in the days. How could people fit in them? Did we grow larger over time? Is it because we had more nutrition or simple evolution? One thing is for sure, I have never seen such impressive wooden carvings, beautifying any bed up until now. I wish we could still have this in our days as well. Until next time, stay safe.